whatever, and then out of the blue pops a vegan radio show. And we need that credibility in lamestream meaty and so I guess I should pass the mic on a little bit here, and we'll have questions and answers later and all, but this is your show. We can't lose it for the animals because it does change people's lives. People came to this event and left saying, you know, this show changed my life. I'll never think of animals the same way again. And and another woman there said, I'm gonna change the food served to my children at my health care. So, you know, it's just so important that this is our one little, you know, the blade of grass growing through the concrete. And, you know, help me get it on in other cities. You know, right now it's on in 2 cities. Let's get it all across the country again. So thank you very much for all that you do for animals too.
So I guess I'm going next. It is awesome to be on the stage with you guys, and all that you do is really important. I had this little thing prepared. I'm going to throw it away and just kind of freestyle a little bit with our hip hop background. I guess thinking about media and the issue of animal liberation, and particularly things that have come up today, that's really interesting. And you talked about this gargantuan task that we're up against, really like penetrating the media with our stories. I think what we need to think about is reframing the stories. You know, everything that everyone's talked about today, this idea of terrorist. Bull Native obviously is a story that looks at somebody who fights for the rights of animals and is labeled a terrorist. And our hope is that people will walk away from that movie thinking of this person as an activist, and more than that, as a hero. So I think that's something, you know, when media isn't just for those of us, I think, who are in the radio or who make films or who make music. I feel like it's a task that we all have to kind of take on, how we communicate right now about the stories that we tell, and the language that we use has to be really specific. You know, saving the word violence for the other side in all our storytelling, saving the word extremism for everything that people who torment animals do, rather than some tactics that we might not agree with, that people who are fighting for the same kinds of things that we're fighting for do. And you know, really using any opportunity we have to tell the stories, again, whether or not we have some sort of medium, just in the way we talk to people. I feel like you are a media outlet for the animals. They don't obviously have a voice that those of us who speak in the human language can readily understand unless we're really listening. So media, I think kind of the message I'd like to start giving is that it's all of our responsibility. We're all little mini documentaries for these animals. And I think, is that enough? You know, it took us 10 years to make Bull Native, 10 years to make this movie, and it's good that it took that long because the movie got better. I think the audience got more specific. It's unfortunate what happened in the time that we were trying to make the movie with the laws. But you know, I think there's a bigger audience for this movie now, and there's maybe more of a need for it now than 10 years ago. But it takes that long because mainstream America doesn't necessarily want to hear these stories. So we need to push it at them. We need to redefine who is the hero and who is the villain. And I think we need to rely on old storytelling methods to do that. You know, Joseph Campbell talks a lot about the hero with 1,000 faces. You know, I think that we need to start reframing our activists as the modern hero, and kind of make the assumption that everybody who is listening to these stories isn't on board and act surprised when we realize that they're not, you know, and just start changing the landscape. You know, we've got a big task changing the cultural landscape, and with movies, with music, with radio, and I think with everyone here in this audience, whatever it is that you do, we are all the media conduit for the animals, and we have more opportunity now than ever with, you know, Facebook and YouTube and just, you know, communication. So that's all I got.
And also,
I should mention too, Mary Pat, one of our other producers of Bold Native, is here in the audience. She's been on with us for 10 years. You know, we try to get actors. We got Joaquin here, who plays Charlie in the song. He's really excellent. So, you know, when we wrote Charlie in, he was an amazing choice, but that character didn't exist for a long time. So, yeah, I just wanted to introduce them.
All right. When I first started talking to Nicole about this event and maybe being a part of it, what came to mind as far as what I could contribute, and it's something that the thought that I'm thinking now is something that Peter kind of touched on in his presentation today about working within your strengths, knowing what you're good at. You know, you can kind of round that out. What are you capable of? What's your interests? What are your passions? What can you actually do? And what do you have to offer? And when I was thinking, okay, the Animal Live Forum's coming up, I maybe have a chance to be a part of that. What can I contribute? What can I do? And what came to mind that I would best be able to share or relay with the people that would attend and be listening, I suppose, that's you guys, would be how music inspired me. I was 14 years old or 12 or 13 years old when I first got introduced to punk rock music. Like everybody else, I was a young kid and had the influence of older cousins and my friends' brothers and all that. And so I'm 11, 12, 13 years old, having Misfits and Black Flag records pumped into my head. And by the time I was 14 years old, I had heard a punk rock band from Colorado called Dead Silence. And that was my very first introduction ever to the concept of being a vegetarian, or in their case they were vegan. But up to that point, I had never even thought in those terms. And so music for me really shaped how I grew up as a kid, the lifestyle that I led as a kid, and now as a 37-year-old man who's been vegetarian since 14 years old and now vegan since 15, 16 years old. Music still plays that type of role in my life today. The music that I tend to listen to more often than not is certainly less commercialized and more underground, whether it's punk or hip hop, which is where most of my interests lie these days. And so what I thought I would bring to the table would be the role that music, or in the broader sense media, in the underground plays in shaping our roles in the world, I guess. And that I think kind of grew into this panel here, because we now have a wide range of people with media interest or involvement. And yeah, so that's what I bring to the table, is understanding how your life and the decisions that you make can be influenced by media, and probably most of the people in this room's lives, more things that would be considered more underground than more commercialized, which is something that I think Bob pointed on at the very end of his introduction, was the importance of breaking into more mainstream media, because those are the people that need to hear us the most. If my music is only heard by vegans, if Bob's radio show was only heard by vegans, if the movie these guys made is only seen by vegans, we've really been very ineffective. And I think that's important to keep in mind, not only in our own work, but within our own lives.